Hello, hello. I want to welcome you. It's like, I don't know if you feel like I do, but I believe everything happens for a reason. We were actually supposed to do this interview show a little while ago, and today is October 1st, which is 10/1. We're here at 1 p.m. as this is airing, and it is the first day of the last quarter of the year. And so I think it's really super appropriate that we're having this conversation on reinvention. So it's a great time to look ahead in this quarter. And of course, when we get past this quarter, we'll be in the beginning of the new year. And that's always a time when we're starting to think of, what do we want this next year to look at? And this is a great time, I think, to look at it for right now. I'm excited to welcome you here. My name is Mickey Wright. I am a business funding expert and pricing strategist with beautysuperstars.com. And I help businesses to be able to, thrive in any economy, giving you lots of tools, training, and funding options for that. And I want to welcome you to Beauty Superstars Talk, which is your backstage pass to experts in beauty. And our expert today is none other than Maria Fontana. And she is an incredible woman. She is a beauty industry professional as her background and has reinvented herself in many different ways. So I'll let her share a little bit of her story. But welcome, Maria.
Oh my God. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored beyond belief. And everything does happen just the way it's supposed to, always. So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about your background because you have so much to share and it's so rich.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll just go back. Went to Voc, was a product of vocational schools, opened my first salon at 19 years old in North New Jersey. I could not conform. I wasn't good at working for people. I always had an entrepreneurial light about me. But I did always really latch on to mentorship. So even though I wasn't a good employee or I didn't conform good, I really was all about learning and I wanted to learn from others. So that's how I opened my first business. I've been a salon owner of 11 different salons, a cab company, a beauty supply, two private beauty brands, tanning salon. So my brick and mortar experience spanned to a lot of different businesses. And then about 16 years ago, after a really tumultuous, crazy time in my life, I had gotten divorced. I had two little kids. I had been through like a lot. I kind of lost everything in my divorce, my life, like things like, just blew up as they do sometimes in life. I had to reinvent myself. I was like, what am I going to do in the next season of my life? Like, what am I going to do when I can't physically work this hard? And I started to really tap into the online world and I started making actually YouTube videos. That's how it started. I'm like, you know what? I remember I was pregnant with my son. I started making hair videos in my kitchen with like this big old digital camera. I knew I was old at the time, let's just say, in the tech world. I'm like, I didn't know anything about tech. I had to start learning. So that's how my journey started. And then once I got a taste of what the online world had to offer, I started investing in myself. I rebuilt my life and I created my consulting company because people were constantly picking my brains. Maria, how did you learn to do this? Maria, how do you market? Maria this, Maria that. And then I married it with my own personal development journey, my healing, my gift of intuition. So I packaged
Mhm.
everything up and I was like, you know what? I have a lot to offer the world, my experience, my brilliance, my expertise, the bad stuff that happened to me, the mistakes. So I took all of it and I created my consulting practice, Maria Fontana Consulting. And it evolved and has grown. I since wrote four best-selling books because I was told, well, you're a hairdresser. You're not a writer. Oh, really? Okay, let's see how that goes. I have a podcast, a YouTube. So I'm not saying all this to be like, oh, wow, me. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with you could do anything you want. So this is how my reinvention went. So thank God my life is good. I'm remarried. My kids are grown. I'm happy doing what I want. And that's just like a tidbit of the journey compressed of how it all came to be.
Yeah, that's incredible, though. That's really an incredible journey. It's like all of us have the ups, the downs, the things like you say that blindside you and what have you. And it's like, and we have to respond in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes it's, taking that step back to say, woof, maybe something new should be happening in this next chapter,
Yeah.
like, and you get that opportunity.
Right.
So one of the things I don't want to skip over is the fact or the reason why we had to move this back. And that was
Mhm.
because you were traveling to Italy. So
Yeah.
tell us about that part of your life, because I think that's so important and inspirational for us to hear.
Thank you. So I'm Italian American. I speak Italian. My parents were immigrants first, and I'm first generation. So I grew up, always going back and forth to Italy as a child because my family was there, and it was just part of my life. And as I got older, I kind of detached from it for a few years because all I did was work, raise kids. I was just on the hamster wheel, and I
Mhm.
realized how much I missed it. So I started to figure out how can I create more freedom because being changed to the brick and mortar, and I'm not against the brick and mortar. I still actually own a boutique salon in New Jersey. Just for transparency, guys, I am not against having a brick and mortar. This is all about like my truth and my journey. So just so you guys can have a little context about it, that it's not
Mhm.
all smoke and mirrors and it's not all shiny objects. It's like reality. So I got off track. So I wanted to incorporate being able to spend time in Italy more because I love being in the water. I love being in my home there, which I didn't have a home at the time. I had a family home. So I decided my reinvention was really part of, I'm like, how can I create more freedom for myself where I can make money, not have to be in my brick and mortar? I can actually close the doors if I want to, be gone a month, and I could still make great income, have freedom, still serve. So that is how my reinvention wound up with my going to Italy. And then I started, I bought a house in Italy. I go 4 or 5 times a year now, and I'm spending more and more time there because my goal is as soon as my kids are done with school, I'm going to move there permanently or spend as much time as I can there. But now with my new practice, my consulting practice that I've grown, I'm free because I can do that from anywhere. It's a very different business model.
Right.
So I get to do what I really love. I get to spend time with the things that mean the most to me, my kids, my husband, my dog. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's like I gave up my life, my whole youth to work. And we all have to work, I get it. But
Mhm.
I decided in this season, because I call it the last quarter, okay, I'm very transparent. I'm 56 years old. I don't know. I worked hard my whole life. I want more freedom now. I want to be able to serve and I want to touch people's lives. So that's how I get to enjoy Italy and everything I do because I created this freedom for myself.
Yeah, yeah. That is so powerful, and it almost gives me like, woof, like a deep breath kind of moment.
Mhm.
There's this on one hand, like you're creating it the way that you want it, which is,
Mhm.
I think so important. And like you say, it's not about, it's like I've got to have the $1 million career or the red bottom shoes or the this or that or what
Mhm.
have you. And there's nothing wrong with any of
No,
that,
there's not.
but it's like really tapping into what is important to you. And we spoke a little bit earlier, but adding that word now to the
And
end of
I say, Mickey, I always say, I realize it's in this season
right.
because every period of life is a season. So it's like, when I talk to clients or even myself, like every few weeks I check in with myself. I'm like, what do I need now in this season? Because
Mhm.
guess what? Maybe what even worked 6 months ago, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I got to tweak this again because that doesn't work anymore for me.
Right.
And
Right.
it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just we change, we grow.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that check-in is a very important tool. So I was sharing online that I watched kind of a quick snippet, I guess you could say, of Yolanda Adams, who's a
Mhm.
famous gospel artist, and she's actually phenomenal. And she is was on Tamron Hall's show, and
Mhm.
they were talking about her. kind of reinventing her life. But she uses another word, which is escaping me right at this moment. But she was like, she said she didn't like the word reinvention because she felt like it negated all of the
Mm,
people, that she had been throughout the journey. And I was like, wow, like that's an interesting perspective, but
mhm,
I don't see it that way. And so I
mhm,
just wondered what your interpretation or what your definition of reinvention is.
mm. So I'm gonna say that I don't agree with her on what she said, which is totally cool, but I'm going to say almost the opposite. I believe that reinvention is actually accepting and curating because everything that you were,
Mhm.
everything that happened to you, your experiences, because I have to be honest with you, Mickey, I would not be sitting here having this conversation with you. We wouldn't even be friends. We would not be in the same circles. I would not have written a book. I wouldn't be online making videos. When my kids make fun of me that I'm on TikTok, they're like, "Oh, mom," I'm like, "Mind your business." I wouldn't be doing all these things if I didn't go through what I went through. If
Right.
I didn't crash and burn, if I didn't have anxiety, if I wasn't overweight at one time, if I didn't lose everything, if I didn't work behind the chair and know what it meant, if I
Mhm.
didn't put my kids through school and be a single mother for my whole life,
Right.
if I didn't come from dysfunction like everybody in the world does, because we all do. I don't care what anybody says, we all got something, but you
Right.
got to embrace it and move on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say reinvention is simply tapping into all your genius, all your experiences,
Mhm.
as trivial as we may think. Because when we're in it, you ever hear that saying, you can't see from inside the bottle, you can't see the
Right.
ingredients on a bottle if you're inside. I believe that. So
Mhm.
to me, reinvention is taking all those bits and pieces
Mhm.
and packaging that up and saying, how can I help others?
Mhm. Right.
How can I be of service to the world with all these things I've done and been through and the lessons? Now, I'm not saying you're going to take everything, but that is what my reinvention means. And all the hundreds of clients that have come to me over the past 10 years, 15 years, there's no two that are the same because reinvention is different for everyone.
Mm. Yeah.
So reinvention, you call it your second act, you can call it whatever you want, but what are we going to do to align with our soul now? What do you need now? What does your soul want?
Mhm. Right.
That's what reinvention is to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really powerful just to hear it phrased that way, and that you tapped into, like you say, all of those different experiences are what brought you here. And
Yeah.
so one of the things I wanted to explore, because it's like I am a pricing strategist, and one of the things that's part of that is value. And just in our conversation, it's like you looked at all of the parts of your life, all of the ups, the
Mhm.
downs, the ins, the outs,
Mhm.
and you said, I have something valuable to share here.
Mhm.
Whereas a lot of people take that same look and say, wow, I'm defeated. I'm a failure. I haven't achieved what I set out to achieve, and they
Mhm.
kind of don't see the value in
Mhm.
all of those experiences. So, what was different for you, or how did you get to that place where you could say, like, wow, I have some great things I can offer the world?
So it's not sexy at all what I'm going to answer. I had to do a lot of inner work,
Mhm.
all personal development. It started out in therapy
Mhm.
22 years ago when I didn't even know that this existed, that you could think differently. I
Mhm.
didn't know that you can change your story of where you came from. I
Mhm.
didn't know that there was a different operating reality than just believing what you were told. So we all have different stories, limiting beliefs. And again, no shade on anyone. Everyone's parents, friends, relatives, guardians, whatever, everyone just did the best they could, what they knew how.
Right.
So when I started to work on my inner garbage and really start processing through these beliefs and the things that were no longer serving me, that was step one.
Mhm.
And it is part of my programs. It is part of what I teach because I believe I could teach you business tactics all day long.
Right.
But if we don't work on the balance of the inner game, I've seen people, you don't get the results.
Right.
So my answer is the first thing I did was I had to do a lot of personal development work, inner healing,
Hmm.
hire mentors, hire a therapist, hire a healer. It looks different for everyone. Maybe it might be just a life coach that can support you. But mentorship, and the second important thing is tapping into my intuition. We
Mm,
all have our GPS, Mickey. We
yeah.
all have it. Nobody is, more,
Mhm.
gifted than someone else that you're into it. We all got it. We're all born with it.
Right.
It's, are you listening?
Hmm. Hmm.
So those are the top two things I would say
Yeah.
before all of the other stuff, because then the other stuff's just investing in mentorship, learning different business things, learning different tactics. But
Right.
number one is working on the inner game because your value is based on a belief.
Right.
And a quick exercise that I always do with my clients is I want you to write a list of all the things you believe. Like, oh, it's
Mhm.
hard to make money, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not tall enough, I'm not skinny enough. And then next to it on this piece of paper, you're going to just write down, well, whose story is that?
Mm.
And it's really crazy when you actually do this exercise over and over. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. You'll come to realize that it was someone else's story. It was like your Uncle Billy used to say, "Oh, you're a chubby kid," whatever. Like I'm just like it's just stuff that you're like, wait a minute, or that was my mom's story. She used to say, "Money's hard," or "Life is hard," or whatever.
Mhm.
Don't disrespect your elders. Like whatever the beliefs are that could hold you back. So
Mhm.
that's how I believe in it.
That's a really great exercise. So I hope everybody's like watching and it's like, you might even need to go back and pause and it's like, what did she say to do? It's like I think that's a really powerful way to tap into what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
'Cause
behind the
That
scenes, that's it.
that can often be what's running the show.
Oh, it always runs the show. Like,
Yeah.
all of our garbage, I call it, that we need to work on. And guys, listen, it's not a quick fix. I fall off the wagon too. I mean, I document everything on social media because I like to be transparent. Life has its ups and downs.
Yep.
Things don't go the way you plan all the time, regardless. So, you have to just embrace it and give. This is another line I always use. You gotta give yourself some grace, meaning being nice to yourself for Pete's
Yeah.
sake.
Yeah. Yeah. And the word that you used with your intuition,
Mm,
that is so powerful. And I you referenced it as well. It's like I always call it, God's GPS system. It's like when you follow it, it will not steer you wrong. But the our society, the society in general, a lot of times our families and the exposures that we have try to talk us out of what
mhm.
we intuitively know or what we feel or it's like, oh, that's just a feeling. It's like, no, no, no. So how do you encourage people to like you say, listen.
So what I learned is, and it's a controversial statement, but the feeling.
Mhm.
I've learned that what I feel in here, in my soul, deep in my bones, and it's usually the first feeling,
Yeah.
I listen to it.
Uh-huh.
I will write it down or I'll pay attention. I actually did a podcast episode the other day on red flags. Red flags are your intuition. Like, but you're going to ignore it because you're
Right,
conditioned to ignore it.
right.
So, what I've done is a few things. Again, you could do these yourself. Spend at least 5 minutes a few times a day, just friggin' quiet, like no phone, no anybody talking. I'll sit outside. It sounds corny, but I'll take my shoes off and I'll just stand outside on the grass.
Mhm,
Even 3 minutes, like my dog will be over there. I just slip off my flip flops and I'll just stand there and I just breathe.
mhm,
Or you're going to pick up your kid at school, sit in the car quiet. Just sit there quiet and listen to your breath.
mhm.
The more time we spend outside, the more time we give ourselves to just just be, pray. If you're not into praying, then meditate, whatever you want to call it. Like connect with source. Like I believe God, source. It's we're all connected. Like it's your higher self connects to your soul. It's all one line, and we all have a direct line to the source. whatever you want to call it, the universe, God, your soul, whatever aligns with you. We all got it. So
Right.
the more we're quiet and the more we just allow, that's how you tap into your intuition. And I've learned it's usually that first feeling. The second feeling is your ego
Mm-hmm.
saying, like, trying to distract you. So it's like two little voices. Allow the voice of your soul, of the divine, of God, of your being, your higher self, because you're
Right.
always right. But it takes practice. And I learned this from one of my healers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she used to say to me, Maria, if you want to tighten up your arms, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, I'm going to go to the gym and work out. So she's like, the same thing with your intuition. The more we
Mm-hmm.
listen, the easier it flows. The
Mm-hmm.
more we do it, the easier it'll just guide you. So I want you guys to practice. Give it 30 days and just be like, ooh, I just felt the nudge to turn left instead of right. Well, I'm going to do it and not question why.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think that's the easy part is, and like you say, maybe the ego part is well, why? It's like
That's your brain. Yeah,
that
that's your
doesn't make any
rational
sense.
brain. Right.
Yeah.
But again, you never hear that saying, like, let your faith be bigger than your fear. So
Uh,
I really think the more all of us, regardless of what your beliefs are,
mm-hmm.
we tap into it's energy. We tap into our own energetic being that we all have. And that
Mm-hmm.
light that we're all born with, no matter
Right.
who you are,
Right.
it's pretty awesome. And I just will share something. I hid this in the beginning of my consulting because I was afraid. Someone had said a belief, someone said to me, oh, if you talk about your intuition, that's going to discredit you. Don't talk about
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. And for a long time, I kind of kept it quiet. But then as I was working with people, Mickey, I think you had this experience with me too, right? I just get a download and I'm like, ooh, I just saw
Mm-hmm.
this for you. And I
Right.
can't
Right.
control it. So that is part of my magic. And I'm going to
Yeah.
own it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you're magic. And I was thinking superpower. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. We all got it. We all have some different type of superpower.
yeah.
The magic is allowing yourself, like, and I'm going to just say this too, because I just had a download to share this. Forget about what your aunt, your mom, your brother, your sister, your uncle, they're not your clients. So don't worry about what anybody thinks. Don't share your good stuff with everyone who can't support you. That's one thing I say
Mm.
all the time to my clients.
Can you say that again for us? I think that's great.
Don't share your good stuff with anyone who can't support you. So let's just say, I'll use an example. Like, I love my mom, adore her, but she does not get what entrepreneurship is. And I'm an entrepreneur 38 years. She's still like, oh, I wish you had been a doctor. So so but after all these years, I'm like, so do I share anything with my mom about the entrepreneurs? No, not really, because it's irrelevant. Who do I share it with? Maybe you, Mickey, because you're an entrepreneur and you get
Mhm.
it, or my mentor. I just made an example of my mom, but
Mhm.
I know so many of us struggle with wanting approval,
Right.
whatever that looks like.
Mhm.
And that's going to be your biggest dream killer. Don't, if
Mhm.
someone can't support that, you're going to um, I'm gonna change career. Yeah, listen, I have one lady. She was a naturopathic doctor, and she decided to become like an energetic healer. Well, her whole family flipped out. But guess what?
Right.
It worked for her, and she
Yeah.
realized that she couldn't really get support from maybe the people she wanted the
Mhm.
most, but it was irrelevant because it's her journey.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think that goes back to, again, kind of tapping into your intuition. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's like this is like related but not related, but I think it's a good example.
Hmm.
I won. I was a finalist in a competition where you had to go live. It was a photo competition, and
Hmm.
mine was selected. And so I wanted to look, a certain way,
Hmm.
and so I had an outfit made that was leopard print.
Nice.
And I was wearing my hair curly at the time, and I was like, well, this curly hair doesn't really go with that. So I did, like one of my first extensions where I just did
Hmm.
like a short, smooth pixie.
Nice.
And that evening while I was on the stage, I was like, what if I made hair to match this outfit? And I could see it in my mind when I got back, to my salon and I was talking to a few people about it, and no one could get it. They were like,
They poo-pooed it.
leopard printed hair? What? And so anyway, I had the vision and it's like I was able to bring my vision to life, and that, you know, one of the images from that shoot was on the cover of one of the top magazines and was like their best-selling magazine.
Amazing.
And I set up a poster business, that featured another one of the images, and it was just like when they could see it, when it was in
Mhm.
front of them and they could look at it and say, "Oh, that looks really cool. That's
Mhm.
gorgeous," they could see it, but before they could see it, they couldn't see it. So
And
we have to find
sadly,
that
not
final
every
guy.
yeah, and
Yeah,
you're right, and I've learned the hard way, not everybody can, and
right.
that's okay. So you
Yeah,
share your good stuff with people who
who
can
can?
support you.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
you and I have talked about this. That's why your inner circle is so important. That's why
Mhm.
mentorship is so important and being
Right.
around like-minded people. Because, right, Mickey? Anybody who's doing better than you or doing great things, they're never going to poo-poo what you're
Mhm.
doing. They're going to
Right.
be like, yeah, good. That's awesome. How can I support you?
Mhm. Right, right. Yeah, that inner circle is key. And
Mm.
so I know we're, winding down a little bit with time. We've got a few folks with us live, so thank you for joining us.
Hi,
And
everyone.
if you guys have any questions about reinvention, this is the time and this is the person right here. It's like we want to talk to Maria, and it's like I'll just show a few of the things. But we've got Queena in the house. Hey, everyone.
Hey, beautiful.
She is amazing. It's like she was actually the, I guess you could say, mistress of ceremonies for
Mhm.
the alopecia social I was part of a few weeks
Oh,
ago, and
yes. Great.
she did an incredible job. So I just have to shout her out there and say thanks for watching. And she got the right now point. It's like, what are we doing now? What's working for us now?
Mhm.
And Ashley Ramirez. Now I think I've forgotten what she said amen to, but something
Amen.
you
Beautiful.
said. Something you said resonated. And Dewana is here. So thank you for joining us. And she said that is true. I think that was with people supporting you and choosing your circle. So really important things that we're touching on here.
Mhm.
And we talked a little bit about like what gets in the way, but are there any other things that you would say, it's like you shared with us a few steps we can
Mhm.
take towards our own reinvention and towards
Yeah.
trusting ourselves.
Yeah.
So, are there any things that you want to add to what we have so far?
Yeah, I mean, I have so much that I'm just gonna compress them in. So what's really important that everyone remembers is your limitations are whatever you believe they are.
Mhm,
So if you believe it can be, it can be. And make sure you surround yourself with people who can support that vision. Get crystal clear. Also, take time to get clear on what feels good. Again, I'm going to go back to this, guys. It's about what feels good to you in this season. And it
mm,
doesn't have to be drastic. I have a lot of people like me. I mean, I didn't just like abandon my brick and mortar or drop everything and like just be like, oh, I'm going to be reckless and start a new business. It's a process. We have to be financially responsible, right? Especially as like successful women, you want to be financially responsible. You may need to get funding for your new dream, which there you go, Mickey can take help support you on that. There's bridges we build. So these are steps. Think about getting clear. Where do you want to start? But it doesn't mean you're going to stay there. When I started my consulting business 16 years ago, it didn't look anything like it does today.
mhm,
It's a process. And with all the clients I work with, it's a process and we grow, we evolve, we change, you niche down. So these are the things I really want you to think about is what's your expertise?
mhm,
What lights you up? Now, I'll give a quick example. Just because, let's say, I was a hairdresser, I could color your hair better than probably anybody around in my neighborhood. Like, I have all these great skills, but that is not what I wanted to teach and share. I
mhm,
was like done with that. Like, so even though that was what seemed to be my expertise, my true expertise was evolving, growth, reinvention, business. You see how I took other parts of my life, which were true. So get clear and remember, what do I know for sure? I have
mhm,
one lady, she went from being a chiropractor to teaching single mothers how to rebuild their finances. Like total, like, so you have a gift that I want you to write down too. What are people always picking your brains about? What are your friends calling you about? What are your colleagues asking you?
Mhm.
It's a whole process of figuring out what makes you feel good, because there's no point in teaching. Like me, I don't want to teach a hair color. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in teaching you a haircut, but I can teach you how to grow a business, how to scale, how to create freedom, how to reinvent. Do you see where I'm going with this, guys?
Right.
So don't box yourself into what you think
Mhm.
you can only do. You can do so much more.
So many nuggets.
There's so many nuggets. So just so you guys know, I've got a free download. Just head over to my website. You can download a free book, The Reinvention Era. I cover a lot of this stuff. I'm having a free workshop. Feel free. The Reinvention Formula. That's in October. I mean, you're welcome to DM me, text me, call me. I'm happy to just talk to you for 10 minutes. If you have just a little iota in your soul that you're like, what am I doing next? Reach out, because
Yeah.
you can do anything you want.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Thank you for those offers. That's excellent. And I have scrolling across the bottom here, you can connect with Maria at mariafontana.com. And I have it all spelled out there, Fontana.
Yep.
And you can go there. Like she said, you've got a free gift there. You've got the upcoming workshop that's going
Mhm.
on and other resources, and you can
Yeah.
contact her through there. So definitely, and you can follow her. I think all of her social medias,
I'm
Maria.
all over social. Like, you go anywhere you want, I'm everywhere. So just find me,
Okay.
Maria Fontana, Maria Fontana Consulting. Just DM me and connect.
Okay.
I'm everywhere.
Absolutely. And I just want to take time to say thank you because I think this is such a deep subject, and I think it's such an under, you know, utilized or something that's not like at the forefront of what
Yeah.
people are talking about all the time. But, having come through, 2020, having come through 2021, it's like there's all these shifts that have taken place in the world.
Mhm.
And of course, it's some of it's taken an emotional toll on us, some of
Yeah.
it's taken a financial toll on us, and it really may be time for us to, like you say, look within, see what's in our heart, and see what we want that next chapter to be. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate you joining us and just sharing so many of the things that have helped you in your life to help yourself as well as others on that path. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Miki. I'm so grateful to be friends with you and to have
Yeah.
your beautiful community. And one last closing statement. Don't be afraid of tech and don't get overwhelmed, because that's one thing people always say to me, well, I don't know. I promise you, you can simply reinvent yourself to match whatever it is that your soul wants in your life. You can do it. I promise you could do it. So just give yourself some grace and move forward with what your soul's telling you to do.
Right, right. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So thank you all for joining us live. Thank you for joining us on the replay. Again, contact and connect with Maria at mariafontana.com and or all of her social social platforms. And again, my name is Mickey Wright. I'm with beautysuperstars.com. And it's like if you are looking to grow and expand your business, would love to talk with you about some options to get you some funds to do just that, and work with you in any ways that I can to help you thrive with your business instead of struggle. So everyone have a great day. It's like I'll be back actually next week. It's like I don't usually do them this close together, but it's like I'll be back next week with Stephen Gomez, and we're gonna be talking about numbers. So it's like you
Nice.
guys get ready because business is actually run by the numbers. So it's like we've gotta at least open ourselves up to have that conversation. So again, thank you so much, Montana. I'm calling you Montana. How does that
That's all
happen?
right. I felt like high school. They were like, hey, Fontana, over there.
Thank you, Maria.
Love you, Mickey. Thank you. Bye,
Thank
Angel.
you. You take great care. Thanks again for being here with us. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Beauty
Bye,
Superstars
guys.
Talk. You
Thank
guys keep
you.
reaching for the stars. Take good care.